Welcome to I'ma Talk About It. I'm Alicia E., empowerment coach and ancestral healer, and I'm here to teach you how to break generational cycles, self-advocate, and ascend to happiness without the guilt of wanting a better life for yourself. You don't have to choose the same path as those before you. You can choose a better way, your way. Because if we can each heal ourselves today, we can heal the world tomorrow together. Hey everyone, welcome back. Today I have a very special podcast episode with my very good friend Alicia Johnson of Blooming Lotus Energy. We'll be talking about how to catalyze your healing journey with high vibrational foods. We recorded this recently, so stay tuned and let me know what you think. So today I have my lovely guest, Alicia of Blooming Lotus Energy. How are you doing today?
Doing good. How are you?
I'm fabulous. And for anybody who's watching this with the video, we are matching. This happened last time. We literally had like a golden headband, white sweater, like matching jewelry. And today it's like black and pink and just the updo. And I love it so much.
So let me ask you this. When you put your clothes on today, were you thinking about the colors and like the chakras and stuff?
No, I put on my clothes and was like, I'm going to laugh if Alicia's matching me. That's literally the only thing that went through my head.
And so I was like, oh, I really want to wear I got this, my friend makes Keisha. So I was like, oh, I really want to wear my black obsidian bracelet. And then I was like, well, I guess I'll wear a pink head wrap and wear the earrings too. And I'm like, the heart chakra. I'm like, my heart's going to be open, but I'm going to be fully protected because we have people sometimes that don't want us to be great. So boom.
I love it. You're so intentional. I had like one measly thought. Like literally was like, like,
But everything just kind of goes. I think it's how my intuition just kind of like do. And then, then you get all these confirmations and synchronicities and we're always marrying each other. So that's really dope.
I know, it's wild.
Love it.
Okay, so do you want to do like a short introduction of who you are and what Blooming Lotus is?
Sure. So I am Alicia and I started Blooming Lotus based on my journey of blooming my own lotus continuously. And so through divination, I've been told that I'm medicine woman of the stars and I'm here to awaken and enlighten people to their higher self. And so that's what I'm doing through all the different modalities that I've used for myself and my own awakening, which is an ever growing and evolving thing. I guess you can say there's not just one awakening. But yeah, that's what Blooming Lotus embodies. I'm just here to help people get back on track to the road of their higher self through, all different kinds of great magical things.
I love that. Well, thank you for being here today. We're going to talk about catalyzing your healing journey with high vibrational foods. And then we're also going to share with you a little bit about our Mount Shasta retreat that we are collaborating on, because we will also be focusing on working with high vibrational foods during the retreat. So to begin, do you want to tell everybody kind of your idea of what high vibrational foods means to you, or what it looks like, whatever resonates?
Okay, so for me, when I think about food and I think about high vibrational foods, I automatically think about Dr. Sebi and the alkaline electric lifestyle. Through my journey of just self-discovery, found out that we're electrical beings. So we're pretty much these batteries that are walking around every day, creating our own reality through our thoughts and our words and the things that we write down. And so in the beginning, when I started changing my diet as far as like not eating meat, or just let's say consuming things that have life, that are that the pH is alkaline. And so it took me about a month to get to a point where I was able to really like feel and see what was happening and the difference between just eating my regular schmegular and to really like go into conscious eating. And what I noticed for myself is that I had a lot of energy. I lost a lot of weight, and the weight was more so just stored energy that was kind of slowing me down. It's like the things that I was eating, my body was like, oh, this is more than enough energy. Let's just store it. I would say, along with, just me wanting to subconsciously protecting myself, I guess energetically, because sometimes that weight, even though you're on a diet, you're like, I'm not losing the weight. Well, it's like, okay, well, are you protecting yourself? Because sometimes we just have that fat to protect ourselves. But along that journey in the beginning, I was in the mountains a lot. So I was just like, kind of snacking here and there. And then also like being around a lot of different plant spirits and stuff. And yeah, through it all, which was kind of short lived because, I love seafood. That's where it started. I was like, I went to Maryland and I just started eating crab. And then I was like, I guess the alcohol and electric out the window. But yeah, it was just a really beautiful thing. And the craziest part of it all is how fast the manifestations were coming through. And it's like, this is why it's important to eat fruits and vegetables and things that have life, because they give us life, and we are able to give our thoughts and our manifestations life and bring them into fruition. And so that's what I think about when I think about high vibrational foods and why they're so important. Also being at a place where I'm not like super into my diet right now, although I don't eat a lot of meat. I'm noticing the difference between, the time lapse of me planting the seed of a manifestation and receiving the actual result. And so I would say that high vibrational energy food has everything to do with you manifesting your reality to the highest degree that you're able to. It's really in your God self.
Yeah, I love that you say that. And manifesting, oh my gosh, like a lot of people don't think that food and manifesting are related, but we are the creators, we are the manifestors. So anything that comes in contact with us directly affects how we manifest. And even for myself, there were changes that I wanted to make, after I went through my divorce and like wanting to find a new job and getting a car. And I educated myself and shifted into eating better, like higher vibrational foods, because you don't realize what you're actually eating until you eat something better. Like until you get that better
different
thing. Yeah,
it does.
It's so different. And for the longest time, I also thought that, I had a ton of sensitivities to food. Like I'm allergic, like I wasn't sleeping well, but I'm eating so well. But it was really, I was eating the wrong foods and I was severely inflamed, and I wasn't paying attention to the vibration of the foods and what my body was actually needing. So I was eating larger amounts of foods that my body was like, don't eat that, eat something else. But I was like, let me just spoon feed myself all of this. And then it's like, you're not able to sleep. You're not able to get the outcome that you want. And you kind of think of it as, when you experience that brain fog or like that stuckness or that heavy earth or kapha, as they say in Ayurveda, like you can't manifest from that place, like, which is why you have to balance it. Like you have to be grounded, but you also have to have a sense of warmth and a sense of air and a sense of water. So they're like equally flowing in order to get the outcome that you are truly wanting to receive. And I'm just still cracking up about your Maryland story and the crabs. Like that just popped into my head. And I was like, sometimes when you just go on a vacation and you experience something new, it's like, this is a new day. It's a new day.
Right. And I'm like, why? Like when in Rome, right? East Coast seafood is just amazing.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
how was it like for you? Like if we get a little bit deeper into healing, like when has food shown up for you in a really supportive way? Like, there was some foods that you were really, eating however you want to explain it, but when has it showed up for you?
Okay. So I feel like I can always say that it shows up for me when I really need to feel good.
Yeah. Everybody gets that.
Right. And I feel like when it showed up for me in ways that I didn't think it would was when I was in my Saturn return. And like towards the end of my Saturn return, is when I started thinking about the digestion of frequency. So it wasn't just like, oh, this food and it has like high energy in it, or it's going to give me energy or whatever. It was a lot to do with like, okay, if something is at a certain frequency and I'm at a certain frequency and I'm trying to raise my frequency, am I going to eat something that's lower in frequency than I am? Or am I going to eat something that's higher in frequency, right? Logically, you're going to eat something that's higher in frequency. And so when we think about frequency, my thing is, and I hate to spoil it for anybody who's out there eating meat, but it's like, you're eating the frequency of something that just died, right? Not only did they just die, but they kind of knew that they were going to die. Their little friends died before them. They watched them go into the slaughterhouse. You know what I'm saying? They're also sitting in disease. They're also having, like, there's a lot of, we've all seen the videos with all this pus and mucus, and that is what we're digesting, you know? So for me, I felt like it was just the tweak of perspective. Also, COVID happened. And when COVID happened, that was really another thing where it's like, okay, we're locked down. So I kind of went into, I wouldn't say fight or flight, but it's like, I've already been poor before. So I know how to sit my motherfucking ass down, right? So me sitting down means I'm not going to go out and I'm not eating like out, right? And so with the whole not eating out thing, I was like, dang, people are really eating out for fun. This is not eating to live. This is something to do at this point, you know? And then I was thinking about just different instances. You go out to dinner, go have a fancy dinner. You go to da 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 da. And it's like, these things are just for fucking fun. And you already know that most of the places that you're going are not serving you anything that's organic. Most likely you're getting a piece of meat. Meat is also the most expensive, which is really, really wild. But it's like, we're actually paying more to hurt ourselves than we are to lift ourselves up. It's like, so just me tweaking that perspective and like seeing what I was doing and why I was doing it was also like, okay, Alicia, you need to like pull back on that. This is not a thing to do, especially in COVID where things are just shut down. So it's like, we have to preserve, you know, we didn't know how wild it was going to get or how restricted we were going to be. And so it also brought me to a point where I was like, okay, I'm in the mountains. What can I eat out here? I'm about to make me a miner's lettuce salad, some wild arugula, with some fucking hummingbird sage flowers to give a little taste. I mean, I'm out here thinking of what could possibly happen. You know? And so that is like, I feel like when food started showing up for me in a different way, because I was perceiving it in a different way. And then I was also looking at my habits, and because I was able to just slow down, and that's another thing. It's like we eat on the go because we're always moving so fast. So me being able to slow down and really be conscious of what I'm putting in my body, why I'm putting it in my body, what it's doing for me really helped me a lot. COVID was really good to me. And yeah, that's when food started showing up for me in the best way.
Yeah.
In the best way.
I love that you mentioned slowing down, because for me, it was the same thing. And it happened during the pandemic. Like I was eating kind of healthy before, but not really as healthy. And the minute I slowed down, I was also able to discover teachers and learn something new and educate myself and experience new things. And that was how I got into eating higher vibrational foods. And as someone who focuses on generational healing and energetics and what we carry in our body, and I'm just vegan, so I just prefer not to eat meat. Like it just breaks my heart. It's so important that people understand that a lot of trauma gets held in what you eat. And like you're saying, you know, and it's sad to even think about, but like we live in a society that just thrives off of over consuming everything. And so they force a lot of animals to be produced and to be in trauma for a very long time. And that is in them. That is the energy that they're carrying. They're not out and about, you know, like, and I think about, you know, even with our ancestors, or like when I went to Polynesia and learning how a lot of them lived off the land and like how they saw their land as like abundant, you know, there was never a lot of over consuming. Like it was, we have a good relationship with the land. So like you're saying, their perception about the land was different. And so they were able to slow down and not over consume and not be a part of emotions or vibrations that actually are not serving them. And they ended up
Right.
being happier. And again, when you eat that meat, to me, and other foods that are heavily processed, that are so far from the earth, like you are going to be far from the earth. Like that's just how it works. And so for me, like it's really important to always be eating healthy, not just for my healing journey, but for the planet and just for anything that I'm going to do in the future, or for who, like anybody I come in contact with. Like it's also, I think for me, a good way to honor my own heritage and where I came from. Like, you know, I honor the African parts about me very heavily, and they were like a part of the earth, you know, like in the earth. They knew how to grow, they knew how to farm. And so I like to honor them as well by repeating those things of being with the earth and staying connected. And, you know, eating the processed food makes me feel so shitty because my body's like, why are you like, what is the point of doing this? It's not meant for you. It didn't come from the earth. So it's like, basically you're eating rocks, but not even rocks, because rocks are from the earth. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, I don't even have a comparison to it because you're eating something so bizarre that's like not meant to be in your body. And then people
Right.
are depressed and they're sad and they're angry and they, you know, get trapped in a food desert, which is unfortunate, you know, and there's no resources to be able to get people to fresh food, you know, so it's not really set up in the best way. But I think it's absolutely important to talk about paying attention to what you are eating if you have the luxury to do that. And also maybe even being the catalyst for other people. Like we've added it into our business. And so we go around and now share with people our own journey with high vibrational foods and teach them how to do it in a way that is sustainable, because you can start with just things that are in your cabinet, you know, like even drinking thyme tea or basil, or, you know, things that are already there. We just don't always pay attention to. So I think like for me, I hope that everybody goes down like a catalytic journey of finding that relationship again with higher vibrational foods, because it can have a really big impact and we just don't see it yet.
Right. And I was going to say too, and without pressure and with compassion, we don't have to just cut it off because today
Yeah.
you know, it's like, what can you incorporate to slowly start balancing out the skills within your life? And, you know, some people have to have meat. Some people have went vegan and they got actually really sick. And so I think it's about the duality of it all and understanding you are truly what you eat. Your body is regenerating every 30 days. I want to say we get a new brain every 8 months. So it's like, if we are constantly regenerating and you want to be your best and highest self, then you're going to eat things that are going to get you to that place. And when I started doing the research and then going into the grocery store alone, less than 7% is organic in almost every grocery store. And then people are like, well, is organic really real? Well, are you organic? Or are you inorganic? You know what I'm saying? And so as far as like the molecular structure of our body and like it wanting to receive something that has an organic molecular structure, meaning it hasn't been genetically modified. And I just had this conversation with the older man the other day. He is like, well, GMOs, there's so many GMOs. Yeah, there are. And things have been are hybrid versions of other things. And they've been genetically modifying things for years. That doesn't mean that it's okay. And that our body's like, oh yeah, I really love this. Our body is still going to receive it. Right. But we're still we could eat a lot of shit that our body don't want, and we still gonna be okay. You know, but it doesn't mean that you're going to be high vibrational. And so when you're talking about the whole growing your food and stuff, like you're not able to grow at home, it's like, for myself, you could have microgreens growing in your fucking window. You don't even need more than 2 leaves on the microgreen, so you can grow that. There's also like this really cool stackable, I forgot what it's called, but it's like a plant tower with all these holes in it. You
Yes,
can
yes,
grow your
yes.
vegetables at home. All you need is a damn ring light. All you need is a light. Part of what I was manifesting was having a food forest, and I kept saying fruit forest on accident. So I've been blessed to have 5 fruit trees and a berry bush in my yard. I have an abundance of herbs. And even though they're not alkaline electric, I was like, you know what, let me just start seeing what propagation looks like. So I had an old potato that had eyes on it, cut that thing in half. Now I got a nice little potato plant growing outside. I got like 6 or 7 cloves of garlic that are growing. Although garlic is, they say, good for the heart, it also eats at the membrane. For me, I'm just practicing. Let me go into practice. Let me see what the cycles of the plants are, you know, because eventually my goal is to buy land and to have this fruit or food forest that I've been manifesting. And so now I'm getting my little practice in, and I was walking through the mountains the other day, and I could just feel the gratuity from the ancestors, or the gratitude from the ancestors, because it has rained so much. There's wild clover out there. There's borage, there's poppy, there's all this like miner's lettuce and wild arugula. What else was I seeing out there? Oh, I got some oat straw. The oats were green out there, girl. I was out there picking up straw. I got it over here drying. But yeah, there's just an abundance of things. So I was literally, and these are the mountains that I've done a meditation. I've seen myself as a little girl, and it's like I could feel the gratitude from the ancestors for the rain. That is so important. And so my plants in my house are beautiful, but they also live by when I say I'm going to water them. You know what I'm saying? And so I've been trying to do that with my vegetables, and that don't work. I got to water them things like at least twice a week.
Yeah, they need water.
And so I've been learning that too, because it's like, okay, do I want nice crops, or do I want some crops that barely make it?
I think you want the longest lasting crops for sure.
Yes, right.
And I love that you mentioned just like, you know, can I get into my own practice? And I think that's like important for people to remember that everybody's journey is different. Like it doesn't have to look the same. And my journey to not eating meat took years. Like it wasn't like I did it overnight. Like I slowly noticed, which is another thing, paying attention to your body. Like I slowly noticed that my body was like rejecting meat, like all the time. It would tell me what it didn't want to eat, but I was just eating just because. And so it took me like, you know, the first year it was like I got rid of like beef and chicken, and then the next year I kind of got rid of like other stuff, and it's like this gradual progression. And I like that you create the space for also to practice, because that is really important. Like yes, there are some ways to do things, but we have to remember that we can also learn and grow at our own pace. Like we're so hands-on in other people's lives. It's kind of like mind your business, you know, like, so just like build your practice however you want to build your practice, and just give yourself, you know, the space to grow. And I love foraging. It's like one of my favorite things. Right now, I'm a little far out from where I want to be, but when I was in Southern California, like I foraged all the time, and I even like found like burdock and all sorts of stuff and learned all these amazing things. And then I had my cup and was just like, you know, like down the hatch, and I was feeling great. Like, you know, and I love that you also mentioned that gratitude from the ancestors and just receiving water, because for me, I think it's important to acknowledge that we are also responsible for being land stewards and for creating a better environment. Like the environment is not where it should be or could be, so that plants can thrive and things like that. So if we are not intentional, everything suffers. And I think I do carry that with me and pay attention to that, because I want to make sure that people down the road can also experience plants, and that we can see plants that we haven't probably seen before, that have been dried up for like 3 years because of the drought. Like,
and that's what I'm seeing right now. I've never seen this rose clover, and it's everywhere. So that is, yeah, it's really cool. And another thing, just to touch on like the whole like being in tune and things like that, like knowing when to plant or how to plant. When I went to Lucidity last month, it was really cool that I happened to just randomly sit in on a lecture, and there was like a panel of people from all over the world. And they were talking about how religion disconnected us from astrology, and how the moon cycle is so important as far as planting seeds. And so when they talk about there being a shortage of food here on earth, there's no shortage. There's an overconsumption, and there's a time to plant. And if you're not planting in that time, you're not going to be reaping like you thought. So I'm looking at my potatoes and I'm looking at my garlic, and I'm like, the potatoes is doing better than the garlic, even though I planted them on the same day. But it's also one of those things where I don't remember, was it during the new moon or the full moon? So, and then that kind of took me back to, because when I think about the moon, I think about my period. And that's another thing that we can talk about in regards to diet, right? Because things will smell different. So that's a whole different situation. But with the new moon being a time to plant seeds, that's when we plant our crop.
Like literally.
But motherfuckers is just plant, oh, I could plant today. I can do whatever I want, whenever I want. Oh, okay.
No, like literally, like it just, like I'm laughing at it and I can't even verbalize it, because we're a part of spiritual, like there's things that we literally say out loud all the time that are the answer. Hello. You know what I mean? And we're like,
did you hear your own answer is the question.
Exactly. And so we're like, let me just go plant my seeds when I should be releasing, you know, like.
And then it made me think about, okay, so I don't know if you've ever heard the story of, there's like when the women would menstruate, they would all go out together to a place and menstruate together. So then that made me think, if it was a new moon period, were they out there planting seeds while they was on their period for crops? You know, for the full moon period, what did you have to heal before you went and planted these seeds? Are you doing the healing before you plant?
Like
All
literally
that is relevant. And so these are the things that have been kind of circulating through my mind. And I have seeds that I want to plant, but I also know we're getting ready to go into the full moon. And I'm like, okay, and it's spring. And then you have all these different, like, you have perennials and you have annuals and things like that. So we're thinking of, it's like, let's understand before we start controlling it, and the same for ourselves, right? Let's understand before we start controlling. Let's understand before we just start consuming because everybody said so. And that's the hard part, because there comes discipline, right? Slow down, take inventory, and then start taking steps. And so, yeah, it's just very powerful, just kind of connecting everything together and asking yourself, what am I doing and how could I switch it up for my greatest and my highest good, while still having compassion and still embracing the duality of life. Nothing is going to always be sunshine and rainbows, and that's okay. If you want to fucking go have a burger with some cheese on it, go ahead, but just understand what it's doing to your body, so you're not overdoing it. You know, you don't want to be like, oh, all of a sudden I have high cholesterol and I'm on the verge of having a heart attack, but I just love cheese and I just love, you know, all the things. So it's like, you have to be mindful. It's just taking inventory and being mindful and just not overdoing it. But then also trying to get back to nature, slowing down, getting back to nature, observing how she is, and trying to find your place within it.
Yes. And you're saying it without saying it, but you're basically telling people to be responsible for their actions. Like, I know it's a really simple concept, but it's actually very hard for folks to do. Like,
and it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense.
Understand that if you want to eat those foods, you will have a different outcome. And that is your outcome. You own that outcome. Don't push it on anybody else. If you want something else, you change it, right? And even just observing nature. And it brings me back to us talking about like when we're hungry and when we're not. A lot of times, you know, people are constantly pushing food in front of me because I'm a light eater, but also in general, it's springtime. It's a lighter time. So you're supposed to be eating lighter food. So you got to pay attention to what nature is also showing in front of you and what's growing, and consume those things. And it's not going to be really rooty and heavy and dense like it is towards the end
Wow.
of the year.
I just got a download. So if we're thinking about what is being harvested right now, it is a lot of fruit, vegetables, and herbs, right? But
Mhm.
then think about, and I just got chills on my legs, so I know that where I'm going is right. So I'm thinking about my potatoes. I just asked my mom the other day, I wonder when my potatoes are going to be ready to be harvested. She was like, I feel like in the fall time. And so, okay, potatoes are very heavy, right? And you don't need a lot. So just think about the winter time. So if you harvest in the fall and you have hella potatoes, because one potato is going to yield a lot of potatoes.
Hella
So
potatoes.
right, hella potatoes. And then one of my exes, his uncle, was telling us one day that there's a way to take the corn stalks and make a little teepee, and then you put
Mm.
your potatoes in there and it would preserve them for months. And
Mhm.
so if that's and I just got chills on my legs again. So there's certain things that you should be eating during certain times, right? And it just, to me, it makes a lot of sense. And when you think about the seasons of it all, it's like spring, things are fresh and light, like you said. Summer, things are moving, it's hot, so you want to cool yourself down.
Mhm.
In the fall, things start to die, and so since you already know things are starting to die, it's like, let's start gathering things and saving them. It's making me think about bears and squirrels, getting ready to
Yeah.
hibernate for the winter. And
Mhm.
then you have that food for you until the damn springtime again. So it makes sense to have things that are heavier, that are going to make you full for longer, right? So yeah, it makes sense. That was a great download.
Yeah. And if you like also, and also if you look at nature, like you gave a great example. And to me, it's kind of like, spring, you're lighter, you're higher, you're up, you're up here and you're making your way down into the earth and then into hibernation. So then you can come back out and like come back. Like everything is so
Full
cyclical.
circle. And it makes me think about what you said too, where it's like, okay, that in Ayurveda or whatever, how it's like all this earth is not going to allow you to manifest. Well, you manifest up here in the ethers, right? But
Yeah.
manifestation and creation is also watery too.
Yeah.
And then eventually you bring that down to earth. Earth is a
Yeah.
3D. Everything starts up here and brings it down. So if we're always doing things from here, how high are we really manifesting? How high are we really vibrating if everything is down in our lower self? So yeah, that's another thing.
I love that so much.
Ooh, wow, another download. So in the winter time, it's time for things to sleep and die, right?
Yes.
So if that's the case, like during that time is time for us not to manifest either.
Mm-hmm.
There's not much manifestation that should be happening during the winter time. It's time to really nurture what you've already manifested, maybe plant seeds that are going to going to grow in springtime, but that's about it. So that makes a lot of sense too, because I didn't start as much as I wanted to start moving and implementing things and throwing out my ideas and all these projects that I had in like January. I really didn't get the go until March.
Yeah, exactly. Like you have to let yourself go through that cycle, and there's always going to be a time. And I mean, nature itself hibernates and they store and they, relax and they sleep and they, eat smaller amounts because they're not moving as much. So you're really like conserving your energy so you can come out like really blossoming the following year. So I think that's like important for any healing journey to also realize that there's going to be a flow, right? It's going to feel easy sometimes and it may feel a little slower other times, but if you just go with the flow versus against the flow and resisting it, you're going to have that full release and alignment and be able to manifest like you're saying, but also have those roots to ground you when you need them. So I just want to go in really quickly into, what are we getting something else?
No, I was just thinking about the roots too. Like a lot of the root vegetables are harvested during the time when we need to be grounded down in the earth, not doing much either. So it's just really cool to see Like, these aren't even things that we talked about before we decided what we were going to talk about on this episode. And it's just cool how everything is coming full circle. And not only are we able to, you know, shed light for other people, but there's like enlightening moments for ourselves. I'm like, dang, dude, we already know this, but just putting it out there, it makes me feel like I want to be more in tune with nature and spend more time thinking and just diving into what each season is yielding and how where we fit in. You know what I mean? It's not where do I want to put myself? It's where do I fit in? In nature, not with the people, in nature.
I know. It's always in nature. Duh.
Always in nature.
I love that. So let's shift into talking a little bit about our Mount Shasta retreat now that we've talked about all the high vibrational foods, because they do tie together. So do you want to shed some light on either thoughts about Mount Shasta and food, or just Mount Shasta, whatever you want to talk about for Mount Shasta retreat?
Well, what I'm really excited about is just a simple fact that we're doing the Mount Shasta thing. And then when I think about it, because I don't live in Northern California, so I don't really know what plants are growing up there. But either way, just for the whole retreat, I know damn near every spiritual retreat that I've been on, or like preparing for an attunement or whatever, I've always been asked to stop eating meat. And I've always been asked to stop smoking so much weed. And so it's the consumption of energy that we are doing before we go get energy work. And so that's the whole point of the retreat, is we're going to be shifting out a lot of energy and showing people how to manifest through letting go, not necessarily bringing in. And so with the diet, of course, there are things that we can let go, because you could literally just detox yourself before coming to the retreat. So you can be at a high vibration when you're receiving the energy healing and allowing yourself to get the downloads and things like that. Also thinking about, I mean, even though I'm not really into Ayurvedic and stuff like that, I really do see like that each chakra has a specific energy, and each chakra also has foods and herbs that go with that chakra. So it's like, if you're coming to a place where you want to ground yourself in order for you to start getting downloads, I think about the root chakra and I think about the third eye. And so with that, it's like, if you know that you're not grounded and that's something that you need in order to, well, because all electricity needs to be grounded and for it to work, right? So with that, it's like, ground yourself with roots, ground yourself with root foods, you know, things that grow in the dirt. And then also for your third eye, what is of that, the element, you know what I'm saying? So with the third eye, the herbs that I work with are the Egyptian lotus flower. I was telling you the other day, the moringa leaf, and ginkgo biloba. So it's like, if you are incorporating foods and you can already see like, okay, if you have an issue, let's start back. You have an issue in your life and you're like, oh, this is going on. I'm trying to go to the retreat because I'm trying to let it all go. Well, let's take inventory before we go to the retreat. What is it that the issue is in? Within what chakra is that resonating with? What foods are going to help you align that chakra? A lot of the times you just have to eat the color, right? Or if it's the root, eat the root or whatever. So when you're doing that, then it's like, okay, I'm doing that with the intention of preparing myself to come get some energy work. If you don't get downloads and you're like, I never see things, I want to get visions, my third eye. Let's start bringing some blood flow to your third eye. What is going to be good for your third eye? The third eye is like indigo, and it could be like purple, right? And so for myself, I know that lavender is really good for that. I also know the blue lotus is just the shit for that.
Let's be real.
So the cool thing about ginkgo biloba is that the species, the genetics of that tree is older than dinosaurs. So when you want to tap into some ancestral wisdom, when you're ready to go through a journey, a spiritual journey, then you start stimulating that part of your mind, and so the ginkgo biloba will help with blood flow. It stimulates the pineal gland. The moringa leaf helps to decalcify the pineal gland. So that's just things that you could think about in regards to just preparing yourself for the retreat, because like I said, we're going to be showing people how to manifest by letting go. So letting go of old habits, but also bringing in new habits, and things of that nature. Yeah, I think that's all I have to say about that.
I love that. And do you sell your blend online? Like if
I
people
do
want to
sell my
see-
blend online. I don't have all my tea blends on there, but if you look at my shop at bloominglotusenergy.com, you will see that it is the third eye decalcifying blend.
Perfect, because I'm just saying, especially if people are going to be coming to the retreat, why not start their work early and order the tea and get started and meditate on it? And
Right.
yeah.
And then if they have any questions, or if you guys have any questions in regards to what herbal blends go with what chakras, feel free to do your research. But if you feel like you need to reach out to us, you can always reach out to us as well. But the herbs are very healing. So another thing about the Dr. CB, his philosophy, it's like the fruit gives you energy, the vegetables are to clean you out, and then you have your herbs for healing. And so if you have healing that needs to take place within your chakras, I would go to the herbs. And also, if you haven't had a colon cleanse, you can even take herbs for your colon cleanse, but at least do a colon cleanse for like 3 days just to move things out, because Dr. CB said you can't wax the car without giving it a car wash first.
Yes, exactly. Then you're just waxing a bunch of dirt.
And then you won't get scratches in that motherfucker.
Yeah.
You
So
don't
don't
want
do that.
scratches.
I love that. Thank you for explaining that.
Of course.
And I think it's important that everybody know that this is going to be a really healing journey from top to bottom. It's also during the Lionsgate portal. So it's from the 6th to the 9th. So we're going to be doing a lot of energy work, and it's going to be a small group, which I'm kind of excited about. 8
small groups are better.
Small groups really are better. Someone was talking about how they really wanted a bunch of people at blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, honestly, like whenever a smaller group shows up, I'm like, yes. Like I'm so excited.
It can be more intimate, even like, the whole thing about having small classrooms, you learn a lot more. You don't have people like asking, well, it's okay to ask questions, but then, you have a lot of time where you're answering people's questions. You also have people that are like, well, I know this and I know this and I know this. And it's like, okay, let's just rein it in.
Back. Yeah. It's going to be intimate and nice. I'm very excited. So we're going to have spots for 8 people, our lovely number 8. There's also going to be sound healing, which the lovely Alicia is going to be doing, moon circle gatherings, meditations, quests, yoga. I'll be leading that, and breath work and lots of healing.
We're also going to be doing some group Reiki. And for me, that was like the main thing. Let's shift some energy out. And I'm really, really excited about that.
Yes, I'm so excited. And also, wait, there was one other thing that I didn't write down. Group Reiki. Oh my gosh,
we're gonna do some steaming too.
Yes, thank you. I was like, there's something really important. I can see a box, but I don't know why.
Right. And we're gonna have a crystal workshop. We got all kinds of things planned. It's gonna be amazing.
And there's gonna be dancing, there's gonna be crafts, there's gonna be tarot. Like it's gonna be a lot of fun. And just a great space for people to connect again to who they are and to the earth. And like you're saying, releasing and really sowing those seeds to go forward. So if this is something that resonates with you and you are loving talking about these topics like high vibrational foods and releasing, aligning your third eye and clearing out your chakras and just being in your highest vibration, then this is definitely a place for you. We do have singles and shared rooms, so it's limited availability. So if you want a single room and you love sleeping by yourself, like it's the only way to go for you. It's $1,555. And then if you want to do a shared room, it's $1,111. So very, very affordable. And we are keeping the prices like this until Saturday at midnight. So if you're interested in joining, I would join right now. You can put on or you can add a $500 deposit and then make payments up until the actual event so you can spread it out. And yeah, is there anything else you want to add for that?
I would also say, besides our magical energy, we're also going to be held in a beautiful space off of a
Yes.
stream in the forest. This is not a glamping situation, although the cabin is very beautiful.
Hella nice.
I just feel like it's going to be a really held space to release. And yeah, I know there's a lot of people out there just kind of holding on to things and using their logical minds and things like that. But it's like this retreat is going to show people, give them a taste of what we've been using in our own lives to create the reality that we're living right now. And I can honestly say from the depths of my soul and my heart, I am the happiest that I've ever been. Everything that I do is a divine expression of who I am. And it like brings me to tears sometimes. I'm like, wow, Alicia, you're just happy because everything that you do is what you love. And I think about the journey that it took for me to get here. And so what we're able to give to you guys and what we're going to give to you guys are all the little things that we used along the way to help us get to this journey. I mean, to this place in our journey. And I mean, I just am liberated. I feel good. I'm working on my couch today. You see,
yes.
So, and I don't work from home. This is not a regular thing.
I love it. Liberation is
Yeah.
such a good way to express it because I definitely feel like my authentic self was hiding away for a very long time, and going on these longer journeys of healing, especially in nature, really just catapulted me forward. And yeah, the space is beautiful. Like the house is amazing. We're right on the water. We're surrounded by trees. And even while Alicia and I were looking for a place, it kind of popped up as like the most perfect place and divinely aligned with the owner, who had a very same like mindset about spirituality and helping to heal femmes in general. And so it just was very, very perfect. So I know the most perfect 8 will be there to join us as well.
And I look forward to meeting you guys.
Yes, I'm so
again, because we've already met before.
I love this. So if you are wanting to join, I will leave the link in the description. I will also email it out. I'll also put some links for you to contact Alicia and myself if you have questions. And I think that is a wrap for today, unless there's anything else. No, you good?
Nope. Oh, one more thing.
Okay.
So depending on where you are, I mean, some people are probably in like really congested cities and stuff. But one thing that I've noticed is that Mother Earth is going to give you what you need, right? And so she feels your vibration just like we feel her vibration. And what I've noticed is that the little weeds that pop up that aren't really weeds are things that we actually need. So if you've been residing in a place for quite a while, trust and believe that Mother Earth has picked up your vibration and is producing things for you. And so what I would recommend is getting one of those little plant apps on your phone and seeing what it is that's around you. The gardener, I told him, please stop spraying and don't cut this down. He was like cutting the valerian. And I'm like, I understand, but do you know this is good for sleep and anxiety? And I was like, I will pull it up by the roots and I will do this part of the gardening. Now he don't touch shit. I got some sow thistle behind my window. It's like 4 feet tall. Like, okay, am I gonna cut this down? But then at the same time, I'm grateful. And so I have looked it up, and it's like sow thistle is good for a lot of stuff, including digestion. You can use the baby leaves. You can take the stalks and roast them like asparagus. You can eat the flowers. I also have borage outside. I sweat a lot. I've had hyperhidrosis since I was little, even if I don't get like super hot, but we have borage growing everywhere. The flowers are blue. Blue is for cooling. The leaves are cool. You can make a tea, you can make a salad. So it's been really cool just seeing what's around me in my environment. So I'm just, inspiring, hopefully, for you guys to go out there and check out what's in your surroundings too, because you never know what you might have out there that you actually need.
Yes. I love to call it intuitive herbalism. That's what
I know I stole that from you. I'm telling people we got to work on some intuitive herbalism. What is
Yes.
calling to you? You know, you see it in
So
your mind's eye, see if you really need it. You
yeah, it's
know?
like for me, it's like every time if I know I'm getting sick or I have an infection that hasn't fully shown itself, I know I want cinnamon. Like that's just what
Ah.
my body tells me. And it, starts popping up, or I see things out on a walk that kind of lead me to that plan or whatever it is. Like you're saying, you just got to pay attention to it and really lean into your intuition. That is very inspiring. So thank you.
I agree. And one more thing that I learned too is that your local honey is going to help cure a lot of things. And it's just based
Yeah.
on your local honey. So you can't go to another place and be like, oh, I'm going to use this honey to cure myself. So it's really cool that we've been breathing the same air and been in the same energy, and that we can get this honey
Yeah.
that is just curing whatever it's in its environment. So that's really cool too. I
I
just
love
love
it.
food and plants.
Me too. I love it so much. I feel like we can talk about this forever. Um,
Same.
okay, well, we are going to wrap it up. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to check out the links in the description. I will also link it to the podcast. And on that note, I will talk to you all later. And thank you so much, Alicia, for joining us
Of
today.
course, always, girl. Thank you.
Okay, bye.
Bye, guys.
Hey, if you're ready to ascend to happiness and live the life you've always wanted, join me in my Empowered Living Facebook group for socially conscious healers, witches, and spirituals, and sign up to get my free Empowered 5 Practices to Ascended Happiness guide. It's helped others expand their consciousness and soar beyond sight, sound, and imagination in just one day. It's the catalyst you need to embrace your magic and change the world. Just click the link in the show notes, and I'll see you in the group next time.